What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Powered by Primus, and in today's video I'm going to be showing off my 3-wide card list, but actually acts far more like a 5 or 6-wide team because of a lot of the interactions that the deck has. I've been having a huge amount of fun playing this deck, so I wanted to be able to show you guys, and I know a lot of people were asking about the list, so I've finally refined it pretty much in a spot where I'm really happy with it, so I wanted to show it to you guys off today, talk about a lot of it, and each card that is going to be in the list as well. Now, before we get talking too much about the list, I want to give a huge thank you to Hat in our Discord for being able to really talk about Barricade and kind of sell me on the character. For a long time, I thought the character was really bad, but then I ended up talking to him about his list and stuff like that, and we ended up coming up with a really cool thing where we kind of exchanged deck lists back and forth before I ended up settling on the new list that I in fact have. So again, want to give a huge thank you there. Now, if you guys do want to jump in on our Discord, it is completely free to get in on that Discord. I will put a link in the description box below that you guys can be able to jump into if you want to be able to join in for a lot of that kind of chatter. The next shameless plug that I'm going to be throwing at you guys is if you guys do want to support the channel a little bit more, as well as get some really cool rewards and a little more personalized attention, you guys can also check out our Patreon as well. I will put a link to that in the description box as well. You guys can definitely check out all that stuff so you guys can see all the really cool things that does come with that. Now, with all that being said, let's get into the deck. Now, when we're going to be talking about Barricade first, because obviously we started talking about him, and I really want to talk about the character a lot because he really brings an insane amount of really cool stuff to this deck on both offense and defense, which is very relevant. Now, first off, he's a Car and a Melee. Melee not really as much relevant to Car, obviously super relevant, as this is going to be a Car deck. He does have 4 attack, 12 health, and 2 defense, which is really nice. And then it does say when you flip to this mode, you may play a battle card from under this. You may be wondering, how do we get a battle card under it? And boom, it is going to be from this side. Now, we do gain 1 attack and lose 1 armor, so we do have 5 attack, 1 armor, which is really nice too because this is going to be a far more aggressive deck, so having that +1 attack is going to be really nice. And then it does say that when this battles, now battling also is for both on offense and on defense. So when you flip for attack and when you flip for defense, that does count as battling, and has no battle cards underneath him. After the battle, you may put one of your flipped battle cards that has no battle icons. You can't put an orange, you can't put a blue, you can't put a green, you can't put a black. It's got to be a blank battle icon, and you may put that underneath him rather than putting it into your scrap pile. And then obviously, boom, we flip over to this mode, we get to play that card for free. It does not count as playing our action and or as our upgrade for the turn, no matter what the blank battle icon card is, because you get it for free off of his flip. Next character coming in here is going to be Lieutenant Bumblebee. Now, he is a really good character, has a lot of super solid advantage. Now, when we are in this mode, we have 5 attack, 14 health, and 2 defense, melee and Car. Leader, not relevant in this list as well. Melee can sometimes come in handy, just like with Barricade. And there's obviously going to be a Car, which does have some really big benefits. And then it says when you flip to this mode, you may play an action. So being able to get that free action sometimes is really awesome. And then we are going to flip over to this mode where we gain range, which is very relevant. It does have 6 attack and 1 defense. So the same thing, we're going to gain attack and we're going to lose a defense. And it says when this attacks, you may scrap an action from your hand, and you do get to draw 2 cards. Now, there are some very specific interactions with this deck we're going to talk about here with some specific cards later on, so make sure you do remember that because we're going to be coming back to that. Now, we do have Cliffjumper over here, who's going to be the definite one of the biggest stars of the team. Honestly, they're all really good. They all bring a really big portion to the team, but Cliffjumper brings probably the most because of the amount of card advantage that the character does bring in. Now, I know it's a big conversation when it does come to Cliffjumpers because he is technically an exclusive character. You do have to either purchase him through the Energon Edition, buy him third party, or get him through the San Diego Comic-Con pack. Now, I'm not going to dive into a lot of that, so please do not comment about that down in the description box or in the comment section. We already know about it. Cliffjumper is not going to really have a character for you to be able to put in the same spot in this team. Now, he is 8 stars, which is very relevant for you to be able to run the 25-star team, but the card advantage is where he definitely has to come in. Can you? Yes, put another 8-star car in this slot. You totally can. However, just understand it's not going to run nearly as well as it is supposed to. He is a staple in there, and he is going to be required for a lot of the things that we are trying to do. Now, talking about him, and if you are curious about how beautiful this one is, it is going to be the Energon Edition. So, really gorgeous character. Going to be Car and Melee. Melee sometimes coming in handy. Car obviously being really important. Going to have 5 attack, 12 health, and 2 defense. And then it says when you flip one of your other cars from car mode to bot mode, you get to draw a card. So basically, when we go ahead and start at the beginning of the game, we always start by flipping Barricade. I'll talk about sequencing at the end of the video. And then we're going to be able to automatically draw a card at the start of the game, which is really, really relevant, which is where I was saying a lot of the card advantage comes into play with this. And then BumbleBee, we're going to be able to flip to this mode, draw a card. And then if you happen to play a card that allows you to flip back to this mode for the turn and then flip again, every time you go from car to bot mode while you are in car mode with Cliffjumper, you get to draw one additional card. So really, really good stuff. And then we're going to flip over to this mode where we're going to pick up range, very relevant, and then does get to keep the 5 attack and the 2 defense, which is really awesome stuff. However, you get to pick up 1 attack for each car in your KO area. So late game, we're not going to be flipping Cliffjumper, obviously. We're going to be flipping these characters if they were KO'd in bot mode, backward card mode, so we can buff up our Cliffjumper to possibly getting in for 7 base damage with the swing. Really, really powerful stuff. Now we're going to get into talking about the upgrades first, and the first one coming in here is going to be Improvised Shield. Now this is a double orange battle icon card, which is the main reason why it is in the deck. It does act as an armor, it does give us tough 1, however we're never going to be using it for that scenario. We're going to be using it obviously for that double orange battle icon. And then the next 3 coming in here is going to be Turbo Booster. Now, the one thing we did talk about is how those guys were cars. This is a very, very important card in the list. We actually have 9 ways of being able to untap our cars in this deck. First off, this is an orange battle icon helping us out on attack. Again, this is going to be a far more aggressive list. There are, I believe 3 blues in the deck. Nope, that's a lie. There's technically 6 blues in the deck, but we'll get into that. This is going to be a utility, which is very relevant that it does not take up that weapon slot. And then it does say when you put this on a character, you get to untap that character, and you can only put this onto cars. Now, obviously, all 3 of our characters are cars. On one side, the one thing to note about this is that you cannot put it on a bot mode. Even if you're a car on the other mode, you are a bot, so this does not allow you to put it on there, and it does give us +1 attack. So essentially, if we're in this mode, there's not much we can do about it. However, if we're in this mode, we get to play it, and then obviously we're going to be playing it on a character that already attacked, so we get to boom, drop that onto a car. We get to untap the character for the turn. We get to flip. We get to draw off Cliffjumper, and now we're getting in for a base of 6 after untapping, which is extremely, extremely good. This is definitely going to be one of the best cards in the deck because, like I said, we are going to be acting as a far more wide deck than a 3-wide. I've even been able to get in up to 9 attacks before a reset because of this. Now, it did come down to some really cool lucky stuff where I did get to untap Cliffjumper 3 times at the end of a combat sequence, but I'll be talking about all that stuff. So this deck can have some insane stuff. Now, if you guys did watch the previous gameplay videos that I did put up for that, I will put those down in the description box for you guys. Where even like the first one I went up against Sam and his blue bugs, he was a 4-wide bug deck. He ended up having all 4 of his characters tapped, and all 3 of mine were untapped. I got to send 3 attacks across the table before the wheel turn, the reset, the stand, whatever you want to call it. So this definitely has an insane amount of potential to really put your opponent in a bad situation and get a lot of attack with these characters. Now, the next 3 coming in here are going to be Anticipation Engine. Now, first off, this is a white battle icon card, allowing us to get 2 more on attack and on defense. It is an upgrade in that going in that weapon slot. Again, really nice because the Turbo Boosters isn't going to get in the way of that. And then it does say when the upgraded character attacks, you to reveal the top card of your deck. If it's an action, you may play it. Now, we're going to be setting up quite a bit of turns with this card. It is a phenomenal card in this deck. We are primarily running more actions, which is one of the main reasons why we are running Lieutenant Bumblebee, to be able to really go through a lot of cards. There are very specific things that we are trying to get. We're really honestly trying to get an untap every single turn on one of our characters. If we go through 1 turn with no untap, that's fine. We have ways of getting double untaps in 1 turn, which is really insane. So we want to try to set that up if possible. And then if you are going 3 turns without an untap, you're going to find yourself in a really, really bad position. These guys are really good at dealing a decent amount of damage. You're probably going to be looking between 5 to 9 damage a swing unless you're playing like a grenade launcher, and obviously buffing that number a little bit. But it's really being able to attack multiple times is where a lot of the power from this deck comes. So you really need to see those untaps. So putting those actions on top of the deck and getting free actions is going to be very relevant. The next 3 coming in here is going to be Grenade Launcher. You can't really have a very aggressive deck and not have one of the best weapons in the game. So Grenade Launcher is going to be coming in here, orange battle icon, and then giving us +4 attack. And it says after the upgraded character attacks, you get to scrap this card. So again, we're just really going to be benefiting from that +4 attack. The next 2 coming in here is going to be Datapad. Now, Datapad is a white battle icon card, helping us get 2 more on attack and on defense. It is a utility going in that utility slot, so obviously these can't be in the same slot. You'd have to choose one to go away. And it says when the upgraded character attacks, you may draw a card and then put a card from back on top of your deck. Now you may have already seen that this is a really good combo. You get to attack with a character, you get to draw a card, you get to put whatever you want back on top of your deck, most likely in action, and then you can proc Anticipation Engine and get that action for free. So really, really powerful stuff that you can get with these two cards to be able to set up in a turn. And then again, you are drawing an additional card, so you're seeing even more cards. We're drawing off a Cliffjumper. We are seeing an insane amount of cards in a turn to be able to really set up a lot of this really cool stuff. The next two coming in here is going to be Sturdy Javelin. Now this is just a fantastic weapon and it is all around good in this deck. First off, it is a white battle icon helping us out with flipping more of those cards. It is a weapon as well. It says, well, this is on a melee character, of which all three of our characters are melee in alt mode, and then it does, they give you +2 attack, and then when this is on a range character and it attacks, you may scrap this card and deal 2 damage to an enemy. So this is a really nice way to get in additional damage when you do get to attack with Bumblebee or Cliffjumper while in bot mode. They now pick up the range. So make sure you guys do take care of making sure you're in the right mode when it comes to attacking, whether you need that +2 or you just need to deal 2 damage to another character. Really nice to be able to, like, in my situation when I have a lot of characters survive at 1, be able to chuck that javelin at a character and then attack someone else, so I don't have to waste a swing into one of those characters, because we're always untapping more than our opponent. Usually at the end of a cycle, we're having 2 characters they get to attack, so having to waste one of those additional attacks in for like 10 into a character that has 1 health is really, really bad. So this is really nice to be able to pick up those cards to get those characters off the field. The next two coming in here is going to be EM24IR Laser Launcher. That's a mouthful. This is a fantastic card in this list. This is, first off, going to be our first no battle icon card, so we are allowed to get this bad boy off of our barricade attacks and or defenses. This is an upgraded weapon and then does give us +3 attack. So not as much attack as a grenade launcher, however we can potentially get it for free off of a barricade's ability, and it does get to stick around. So it does make it a card that your opponent does have to respond to, and a lot of times those blank battle icons are going to be some of the best cards in the game because they don't have a battle icon, so you really have to make sure that you are utilizing some of these cards that there are in the game that don't have those blank battle icons, and Barricade allows you to get them, which is really nice. There's also nothing more frustrating for it comes to your opponent when they go to attack you and then you get to flip one of these on defense and it goes underneath your barricade, and your opponent knows next turn you can flip your barricade and just get +3 damage, so they kind of have to send another attack that way or hold back a removal card just to be able to respond to this on the next turn. It is a really, really awesome thing for this just to sit there and let your opponent stare at it and have to really try to respond or try to find a way to get around it. Even if they're holding back a removal for the turn, it could be really nice when we play one of our other cards that our opponent can't respond to because they're waiting for this card. And then finally coming in the upgrade slot is going to be Bashing Shield. This is always a one of in my decks just because a lot of cards like Force Field and some other stuff can be really, really annoying to have to go into. It is an orange and a green battle icon, so that giving us a little more on attack. Also the green allowing us to be able to pick it up after combats. It is an armor for that +1, which can be and has been relevant for me. And then it does say when you put this on a character, you can just scrap an enemy armor. Really good stuff. And then obviously if you flip into alt mode on any of those characters, we're going to be able to pick up that extra defense. So having a base of 3, possibly flipping a blue, has definitely saved my butt. Now getting into the action side of things, the first one you're going to have coming here is going to be Peace Through Tyranny. Now Peace Through Tyranny is a double orange battle icon card, so it's the main reason why it is in the list, but it is also playable for the bottom half of the card, which says you may KO one of your characters that has 6 or more stars. If you do, you get to take an extra turn after this one. This card I've used multiple times to be able to get an insane amount of swings in a row. One of the things that's really nice to do is like when Barricade's about to go down because he takes so much damage and he's really your soaker for the first couple of turns, right when your opponent's about to KO him, if they have to like send 2 attacks at him and then he gets to stick around, you're going to find yourself in such an amazing position to be able to like get an untap off the character, get a couple of swings in, play your Peace Through Tyranny, obviously at the beginning of the turn to get rid of Barricade. You get those double swings, and then you get to start the sequence again with being able to attack first, and it could be enough to possibly take down one of those bigger health characters, or even whatever situation. Just to be able to get that extra turn sometimes is very, very relevant if you're trying to finish off a character. I've had to do that in a couple of situations where I need to get that additional swing in there, and if I don't have a way to maybe untap 2 characters on the turn, I'll just go for like an untap on 1 with a turbo boost, or maybe flip Barricade for a free card, which we'll show off in a second, and then go for that Peace Through Tyranny. Oh, amazing stuff. The next three coming in here and going to be our first orange and blue battle. I guess it's our only orange and blue battle icon, but it is our first blue battle icon, I guess, is going to be Rollout. This card is actually amazing in this deck. I love it. First off, orange and blue battle icon helping us out on offense or on defense. It is an action. It says flip each of your characters from bot mode to alt mode. Now, a lot of the reasons why I use this is for, first off, to be able to get a lot of card advantage, right? Usually, what we're going to do, I'm not going to talk about a lot of the attack sequences now, but I'll start by flipping Barricade almost first every single time. You also really want to go first in this deck just because you get so many untaps, you can force a lot of weird swings, but we get to go first. Boom, we get to draw a card just from Cliffjumper's ability. We get to play our turn like normal. We do our swing because we can't really play anything on the next turn. Boom, we're going to flip Bumblebee, draw a card. We find ourselves in a really nice spot. Now we can play Rollout for the turn. Hopefully there's a blank battle icon card underneath Barricade, but what happens? Lets us flip both of these for the turn. We get to play the blank battle icon card off of the bottom of Barricade. We get to play an additional action, so you're actually not losing an action from the Rollout effect. So you get to play an action, and then you get to flip a character and draw yet again another card from Cliffjumper. So it's really, really awesome. Plus, again, it doesn't hurt you when it does come to those battle icons. Absolutely amazing card in the list. Now the next three coming in here is Start Your Engines. Now you guys may look at this card and say, oh, it looks a little different. This is the Energon Edition Start Your Engines. Now before we talk about that, it is a blue battle icon, so this is going to be the other blue battle icon card in the deck. It says flip each of your characters from bot mode to car mode and then untap one of your cards. So you guys already got to see the huge advantage that Rollout brought to us, being able to flip those cards, get a bunch of extra stuff, but also allows us to untap one of those characters. So in said situation, we would have had our Barricade tapped in that mode. We would have played this, been able to flip Bumblebee, be able to flip Barricade, and untap Barricade, get free cards. It is absolutely insane advantage. Absolutely love the card. Now, when it comes to talking about this card, there's a lot of conversation about the weight of the card versus other battle cards because they are foil. I will tell you, I agree, they are heavier cards. So the only way that I'd say that I think that these are unplayable, unfair, is if you're the kind of person who sits there with your deck and is constantly thumbing through your deck, because you can always feel if that card is going to be on top. Out of 10 times trying to get this out of your deck, going through and feeling them, you will 1,000,000% find it every time. It is definitely heavier. However, if you are not touching your deck, it does not matter the weight of this card. Either you have it in your hand or it is on top of your deck and you're about to flip it on attack and or defense. So it doesn't, again, matter if it does sit here because your opponent goes, okay, I'm going to attack. Oh, well, I felt it. Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. We're flipping it anyway, right? And the only thing it does, make you feel a little bit happier because you know you're about to flip a blue on defense. And then it makes you a little sadder if you're about to attack and you feel it and you flip a blue on attack. So either way, I think the cards are absolutely amazing. They look super cool. They're exclusive. I deem them okay as playable just because of that. Just make sure if you do play with them that you're not one of those people that is purposely, you know, stacking it or flipping through your deck and constantly feeling, oh, well, I don't feel it there. I'm going to try to draw a card. Oh, no, okay, it's, you know what I mean? Like, that's just not cool to do. Now, if you do want the card, there is a Wave 1 version of the card. This is not the only way to get it through the Energon Edition. You guys can just get it because it is a Wave 1 rare. So if you do want, there is an alternative way. I just figured with playing the Energon Edition Cliff, I wanted to obviously run the Start Your Engines from the same mode. Now the next three coming in here is going to be Incoming Transmission. This is an orange battle icon, help us out on attack. It does say draw 2 cards and then put 1 card from your hand on top of your deck. Now, if you guys are remembering, we had this really awesome card called Anticipation Engine we talked about. Being able to draw 2 and put 1 back on top of our deck just essentially gives us a free action for the turn. We get to cycle through cards and not have to sacrifice an action. We get to draw those 2, see more cards, put the Start Your Engine back on top of the deck. We get to attack and do some really fun things. So what I will do is break down that sequencing for you really quick because a lot of people do have questions about it. But let's say we are in this situation. This is going to be our deck. Put that there. We're going to play Incoming Transmission for the turn. Boom. We draw 2 cards. We get to put the Start Your Engines back on top of the deck. We go to attack. Now what will happen is, first off, anything that happens when you declare your attacks, you get to choose, which is why Datapad and Start Your Engines works the way they do, is that you're allowed to choose which one you want to trigger first. So we're going to leave that out. We're going to go for the Anticipation Engine. I'm going to proc it. I get to look at the top of the card. It is an action, which means I get to play it. Now, since I've already declared that I'm attacking, I've already chosen my target, Start Your Engine is going to go through now. I get to flip. If there's a blank battle icon card, go ahead and play it. You also don't have to play it, so make sure you do understand that. And then I get to untap. Now, I am technically still attacking. So what will happen is we'll get to finish the attack. I'll flip the next 2 cards because that's what I have to do. Those are obviously stacked because that's my stuff. And then we'll add our math up, but I am untapped. So in the situation, let's say I had these two characters left. This was my attack. I got that card off. Now my opponent can attack any of my characters because they are untapped, but now this character gets to attack again on my next turn because Start Your Engines did allow me to untap after the fact of declaring my attack. So just make sure you guys do understand that. It is a really, really tricky thing, and if you can you know, make it work a bunch, it is an insane amount of attacks you can get. Like I said the other day when I was playing, I was running Cliffjumper as my last character. I was able to, on my first swing, I think I revealed a card I'm about to show off, which allowed me to untap, and then I went to do a second swing. This was literally the last card in the deck, which allowed me to do it again. We shuffled, my opponent cut, and the top card again was another untap. So I was allowed to untap literally 3 times in a row and get 4 swings. It was absolutely insane stuff. The next 3 coming in here is going to be Supercharge. Now this is really good for a couple of different reasons. Obviously we're already a really aggressive deck, so the Bold 3 is going to be really nice to be able to get a bunch of swings in, but it's also really nice to be able to put on our Barricade because we do only run 5 blank battle icons in the deck. So you may think it's really weird that we are indeed fact running him with only 5 blanks. I think the proper number you should be running is between like 5 to 8, I think is what the math was coming out to being. However, I don't like having 8 blank battle icons in the deck. I don't really care too much if I don't see it on my first attack or first defense with him because we will eventually see it, and Supercharge is going to allow us to help with that, getting that Bold 3. Allows us to flip 3 more cards. We run a decent amount of whites, so we're going to flip 2 more after that. We should definitely be seeing a blank battle icon at some point. I also find myself really lucky kind of always seeing the blank battle icons on defense, which is nice because then your opponent can't really set up their turn correctly, and then like you get to reveal one of those blanks on defense and your opponent's like, oh crap, well I can't stop it because you get to start your turn, and then boom, flip, get that card for free. So really, really awesome stuff. And again, it's just an aggressive deck, so obviously the Bold 3 is just really relevant. Now the next 3 coming in here, since we've talked about it a bunch, is going to be Ready for Action. So this is a blank battle icon card, really good for our Barricade. Actually going to be perfect for our Barricade. It does say untap one of your characters that has 10 or fewer stars. So it's really nice that when your opponent goes to attack, you flip this bad boy on defense, you survive obviously, and then you're like, cool, well next turn I get to flip, play Ready for Action, untap my Barricade. Now you get to attack with him yet again. The really cool part about a lot of the untaps in this is it really forces your opponent multiple times to get hit by Barricade and have to spend multiple attacks going into Barricade. Your opponent will most likely not finish them on their first go, playing 1 action or 1 upgrade. It's really hard for them to be able to get 14 damage, so they usually don't get to KO him, so you'll always get an untap with him, and then when it comes back to your opponent, even if they get a massive hit and he only has 3 points of health left, now your opponent has to really debate if they want to even use any type of thing to finish off your character, because it's like, well, now I don't want to play my grenade launcher, this is the turn I want to play it, but they have to send it into Barricade, and that's just a really bad attack. And then now we're untapped. Our opponent has gone through 2 swings, and we really just get to take full advantage of it. So it's really, really powerful stuff. Also being able to get it off of, Cliffjumpers, being able, draw ability, be able to get it off of BumbleBee by scrapping an action, drawing 2 more. We are constantly seeing a lot of our untaps. We have Start Your Engines, Ready for Actions, and Turbo Boosters. So we have an insane amount of untaps. We're always going to be untapping our characters. The other thing about this card is it acts just like Start Your Engines if you haven't put it back on top of your deck for Anticipation Engine, is that you do still get the untap. It does act the same way. There's just no flipping. You get to attack, reveal the top, and then untap, but you're still attacking. The next 2 coming in here is going to be Ramming Speed. Obviously a fantastic card. Always going to be really good in the aggressive list. This is an orange battle icon helping us out on attack. And then it does say scrap an enemy upgrade. Really nice for getting any of those armors out of the way that are just really annoying. Also really nice if we want to try to get any of those weapons off the table. Especially if our opponent's like, oh, well, I'm about to swing back again into your Barricade. Or your opponent's setting up a Lord Meg by playing like a grenade launcher on them. You can get all of that stuff kind of out of your way. Just a really fantastic card. And then the next 2 and last 2 coming in here is going to be Reckless Charge. Now this is an orange battle icon card, and it does say one of your characters gets +4 attack until end of turn, and at the end of your turn you deal 3 damage to that character. So really good stuff to be able to get that +4 attack, especially when you need to finish. You need to get a really big hit. We can kind of sacrifice a little bit of the health if we're finishing off a character. However, if you are getting multiple untaps, well guess what? Now this character is going to be able to get that +4 twice. So you only take 3 at the end of turn, and you will always be able to keep that +4 attack. So on that turn that I was telling you guys about where I got multiple attacks with a Cliffjumper, I actually had a Reckless Charge on the stack. So really nice stuff, but I ended up playing a Reckless Charge and an Anticipation Engine that turn. Like I said, I got to go crazy with it. So what essentially happens is your character gets +4 attack, you get to swing. If we're going off of our base Cliffjumper here, late game we're most likely going to be in this mode, getting in for 7, but we'll go off of the base mode. We have 5, that +4 gives us a total of 9 before flips. Now let's say we happen to flip a card that allows us to untap, guess what? Boom, we still get that +4, we're still attacking for that base 9, and then we go to attack a second time. This card's +4 does still stick around. It is not till end of battle or end of combat. You do get to keep that +4 attack until the end of the turn, and at the end of the turn you then take the 3 damage. Now again, we're going to talk about sequencing at the end of this, and I'm going to show you guys just like one card alternative that I do possibly suggest. We're going to kind of shuffle up this bad boy real quick because I kind of want to show you guys just really how often we get to see a lot of the cards, if I can shuffle correctly. We're going to see how often we can really get through a lot of the cards. Now this is really piled, shuffled, just because we obviously just had to separate them all for the video, but we're going to sit here and shuffle for a second while we talk about it. So this has a really specific sequence that you want to be doing, and it's because you really want to kind of force the same attacks, you really want to kind of force the same defenses, you really want to try to go first, because if your opponent gets to go first, they're most likely going to try to hit Bumblebee or Cliffjumper, which I would say is actually kind of weird in the deck because you really want to get Barricade off the table as soon as possible. A lot of people won't understand unless you're obviously watching the video, is that Barricade soaks up a lot of damage and it's really unfortunate for your opponent. Really fortunate for you. It's really, really nice stuff. So let's go ahead and shuffle up a couple more times here. Yada, yada, yada. Let's go ahead and cut. All right. So let's start with our opening hand first off. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to assume that we get to go first, right? So looking at our hand, this obviously isn't shuffled enough. I got 2 ready for actions already, so we're going to pile real quick. I can feel that that card was to start your engines. Again, it's just one thing that you really need to make sure that you're not abusing it, and that you're just doing it correctly. But we're going to go ahead and shuffle up here. It is one of the reasons why a lot of people do ban them from their tournaments, just because of that. All right. Boom. So a little bit of a better shuffle. La, la, la. Let's go ahead and get a cut in there. Boom. All right, start again with a new hand. So we already got turbo boosters in our opening hand. We're going to go first. Look at that, 2 turbo boosters, super solid stuff. So what's going to happen is we're going to flip here for our first turn to be able to get Barricade active. That does allow us to draw 1 additional card off of our Cliffjumper. A little unfortunate that we saw a blank battle icon card there. No problems whatsoever. We're going to go ahead and attack in with Barricade, choosing whatever target we want. Obviously, use threat assessment here, making sure you're attacking the correct character. Obviously, if you're going up against like the patrols, they all have stealth, so you have to hit the big character, which is also really nice as well. So make sure you just do that correctly. You're going to go ahead and flip through your cards. Now we're getting in for a base of 8 here. Super solid amount for to be able to get in on a base attack. Our opponent's going to go ahead and crack back. We're going to see whatever basic on defense. Now we did see another blank battle icon card, which is really nice stuff because as you guys can see, we're going to be going for the turbo boosters next turn. So we're going to get some pretty awesome stuff here. Now we're going to take a decent amount of damage. Boom, let's draw for the turn. So we have a couple of different plays that we can do here. For actions, we can go with our Supercharger, we can go with our rollout. We're going to be able to see some pretty fun stuff with a rollout here. Now, you guys have seen we haven't seen any ready for actions, so one thing I can try to do if my opponent is on a slower bit of a deck, I'd probably go for the rollout here, get the free card, and then also flip back to this mode for the turn because our opponent's going to have to go back into this character. So maybe we want to try to see another ready for action. However, if we took a big hit the first time, let's say we have only a few amount of life, we're about to get KO'd, well then what I'm probably going to try to do is go for the Supercharge play. So I don't really care about flipping him too much. So I'd flip B because we obviously just want to see as many cards as possible. We're going to put that there. A start your engines here is actually ridiculously insane. We can easily play start your engine for the turn, and then now that allows us to flip both of these characters, get another action, get off that weapon. So like I was saying, this thing has an insane amount of potential to do stuff. So options we can do here. We can flip for the turn. That does allow us to play this. We can put it on here if we want, and then we can go for a turbo boosters for our turn. Allows us to untap, and we still have access to an action, so we can go for a supercharge and get in for, 4, 7, 8, probably 10, 11 damage, which is really, really good stuff. And if we don't need to KO that character, I'd probably say to hold on to the supercharge. And what we could even do rather than playing the turbo boosters and exposing that really early is we can just go ahead and play the start your engines at that point. That would allow us, let's go back to our specific here. We can play the start your engines for the turn. Now what that would allow us to do is double flip our characters here. We can get a free action off. Again, we can go for the supercharge if we want, and then we can still play that, get that untap, which then would still allow us to play off the weapon. So pretty insane stuff that we can be able to do. And then obviously once you swing back in, let's go probably with this play because I think I would keep the start your engines just for some later stuff. So we'd be in this mode. Let me go ahead and put my hand over here a little bit better for you guys. All right. There we go. So we're going to be able to go for this, and then this would allow us to untap. We get another swing in there. Let's go ahead and flip our cards when it comes to attacking. Saw a nice white there. Really good stuff. So again, 4, 8, 11, 12. 12 damage getting in again on the second character. That's with no supercharge. So pretty cool stuff. Now our opponent has to spend yet another attack here. Maybe that one on defense matters. Let's say we end up getting KO'd. That's totally fine. If we live, we're just in a really happy place because we get another untap with Barricade. We'll just say he gets to go down. We get to draw for the turn. Find ourselves in a really nice spot. Again, the rollout here just essentially cycles out and lets us draw an additional card because we're not losing in action. So let's say we want to go with the rollout. That allows us to flip here, which lets us play in action. Let's say we want to go for a pretty big hit here. So boom, we're going to add the Supercharge off of Bumblebee's ability. We get to flip Bumblebee for the turn. You can also play the Turbo Boosters if you want, at least for the +1, because, you know, whatever. We're going to choose not to. We get to draw a card again off of that, and boom, we're seeing another Start Your Engine. So you guys can see all of the untaps. I'm not going to do an entire thing here, but we're going to be able to see a crazy amount of stuff. What I would then do is probably go ahead and play this laser launcher because we want to punch something. Now remember, at this point, our opponent will have 2 tapped characters, and we are still completely untapped. So really, really nice stuff. We would probably go ahead and get a swing in here. Not a big fan of the rollout at this point. I would probably chuck it to Bumblebee's ability, which allows us to draw 2 more additional cards. Really nice. I mean, an insane pickup there. Insane stuff. So getting in here for 9, 10, 11 damage, which is really good. Now our opponent most likely isn't going to one-punch our Bumblebee. It's an insane amount of damage, and you guys can see that we already have a bunch of stuff here that puts us in a really nice spot. Even if our opponent happens to get rid of this, we know we still have the grenade launcher, and they get to let us keep it around. Either way, totally fine. Let's draw for the turn. It's a pretty bad draw. Not really the best thing we want to see, but either here, we can go for the Start Your Engines, which allows us to flip here. Still gives us an action, so if we want to go for that Reckless Charge, because now our opponent will have all 3 characters most likely tapped down. If we're going against the 3-wide, really good stuff, or we're going to be able to play this. We get to untap, and then we get to still flip for the turn. You know, picking up another card if we really want. Barricade's also in the bad mode, so if we want, we can even flip Cliffjumper here for that +1. Totally doable as well. So you guys can start to see a lot of that really cool stuff. If we're in that situation, our opponent's the 3-wide. Boom, now we drop down a grenade launcher, and we get to punch for an insane amount of damage. So, and then obviously if your opponent's more of a wider deck, then it kind of is what it is. So really, we're not going to be flipping Cliffjumper until there's really no need to flip Bumblebee, and then obviously we want to be trying to flip those characters in the KO area as best as possible. Now, I will talk about my sideboard. It's usually something that I don't really want to talk about, only because it's based on certain metas, right? First card coming in would be Heat of Battle. It's a white battle icon card. It does give all characters Bold 3 and Tough 3 till end of turn. I use this for the orange versus orange matchups. I need to make sure I punch a bunch, or if it's even against Airstrike Patrol, you don't want them to see as many green cards for them to be able to pick up. So this might be really nice to be able to use against them as well. You're being able to one-shot, and then they're not seeing as many options as possible. So that's entirely a possibility. The other thing is Enforcement Batons. Really good card I bring in if there's just any pesky weapons out there that's really slowing me down. Obviously, it's going to be a substitute for the Bashing Shield. If the Bashing Shield's just not doing a whole lot for me, I do bring in the Enforcement Batons. The next card I bring in is Power Punch. Really good card for a lot of the same reasons. Orange Battle Icon gives us that Bold 3 on attack. Really nice to be able to put on with a Barricade, or even just a big hit later on. Again, more of that if I'm having problems pushing damage, whether they're heavy or blue and I need to push that damage, or if it's, again, an orange list and I need to make sure that I'm finishing off those characters on the one swing that I get. It's also a really awesome card because it gets around Sabotage Armaments. So if your opponent is running that as well and you're finding that your EM launchers just aren't really being able to get the job done, then you can bring in those, which are really, really nice stuff. Next one coming as a one of is another Reckless Charge. Again, I really need to push that damage. I'm not too worried about the 3. Then it's totally fine. I'll bring in those bad boys. Next one is Dampening Field. Again, in for those aggressive matchups. This thing has a really good matchup against blue, so I'm not really too worried about it because we just get in so many swings on characters that I really care more about the orange matchups to make sure that my characters aren't getting one shot. If my opponent is running heavy orange and has to spend 2 swings into one of my characters, I find myself in a really, really good position, so that's why the sideboard is more towards orange decks. The Dampening Field allows them to just make sure they don't flip more than 4 cards. It's also really good against bugs if you're going up against Kickback, or if you're going up against Barricade, or I'm sorry, Barrage. Really, really good stuff. And then the last card bringing in as a Sabotage Armament. So I bring this in as a little trick up my sleeve. If I'm going against something that has a bunch of weapons that they're doing a lot of damage with, plus it's that random blue battle icon card, so that might just be that one that you really need. and then it is also an action, so I can probably see it more off of Bumblebee's ability or even just drawing. And after your opponent doesn't see anything game 1, especially not seeing these, and then game 2 you go secret action, there are so many options that it could possibly be, especially once we get wave 5 coming in here, which obviously the deck will probably change again, but this just leaves your opponent on like the I don't know what that is. And then because it's only a one of, they can't look through the scrap pile and see what it is. They might even look through the scrap pile and see a dampening field and go, haha, well, oh well, I got this, and then just get completely ran over by the sabotage. So it's just a nice little fun one of to bring in on the sideboard. And then the only other card that I would consider for you guys is going to be Plasma Burst. I bring this in if I am going up against more blue stuff. So if I need that extra bit of direct damage and I'm finding myself not being able to finish some of those characters, and again, same thing as Javelin, I'm spending a lot of time spending an empty swing, essentially, into one of those characters, I do bring these in, plus it is a blank battle icon, so you get it underneath Barricade, you guaranteed a flip to do 2 direct damage to anybody, so really good stuff. I mean, you get to flip, do 2 damage, and then swing in with a Javelin, you can deal 4 direct damage to something for a turn. It is absolutely crazy, and then if you can stack multiples, obviously, like you use the first one and then you see another one on defense, oh, you're going to find yourself in a fantastic spot. Alrighty, so I really hope that you guys did enjoy this deck profile breakdown on this card deck and all the cards inside of it. I think it is a really fun thing. I'm usually not a big Cars fan, however, this deck has been so much fun, I just can't seem to put it down. So I highly recommend that if you guys have the ability to play it, that you guys sleeve it up and give it a shot yourself. I do have some really cool stuff coming to the channel this week, so make sure you guys do come back later on. If you guys are not subscribed, make sure you guys are subscribed so you guys can get access to all those videos when they become available, and I will catch you guys in the next one.